Good morning. My name is Stephanie Finley, and I am, I guess you call a leader of the Regional Coalition for Strategic Federal Action. And this is a group of 10 entities that formed 2 years ago to work on federal issues, and who has been leading the charge, working with our congressional delegation to address a very real problem that we're going to discuss today with you. And I'm pleased to introduce Commissioner Sally Clark to kick us off.
Thank you, Stephanie. We've been working really hard on the federal legislation as it relates to emergency watershed protection, especially following the Waldo Canyon fire. I wanted to recognize just a couple of folks here today. We have Amy Lathan from El Paso County Board of Commissioners. She's the vice chair and has been heading up the Stormwater Task Force on behalf of El Paso County as it relates to the entire region. And thank you, Amy, for being here. We also have small and large communities represented here today. Mayor Mark Snyder from Manitou Springs and Mayor Lori Worthy from Green Mountain Falls. So this is not only about the city of Colorado Springs and the folks along here who will ultimately be impacted by the burn area and potential flash flooding, but it's also about the fact that we're working together, small and large communities. Larimer County is working very closely with us. Commissioner Lou Gator has been heading that up, and related to their High Park fire and the damage that's very similar to what we experienced here in Waldo Canyon. One of the things I wanted to talk about just briefly, and then I'll turn it back over to Stephanie, is that we have a lot of compassion for those who have been impacted by Hurricane Sandy, absolutely. But we also need to convey that there are emergencies that are here in our region and in Colorado that will ultimately impact our community. That if we can prevent the flood from happening, if we could have prevented Hurricane Sandy, we would have prevented it. And it's better to put the fence at the top of the cliff than the ambulance at the bottom. We need to make sure that we do what we can to protect life safety, because we do have advance notice that there will be flooding in the aftermath of our watershed and as it relates to Waldo Canyon. So basically, I think it's just important to note that we have regional collaboration. We thank our senators and our congressmen for the work that they've done. And I'm going to turn it back over to Stephanie now to introduce some of our other speakers. Thank you for being here this morning. This is not an issue that's going to go away. This is something that is very concerning for life and safety in El Paso County and our Pikes Peak region. Thank you.
I'm also pleased to introduce Lauren Newman, the Chief of Staff to Mayor Steve Bach for the City of Colorado Springs.
Thank you. Good morning, and thank you for coming out this morning to hear about this issue. And I do want to extend my appreciation for you all being here on behalf of Mayor Bach, who is at a prominent citizen's funeral, or he would be here personally. And I do want to tell the citizens that Mayor Bach has been fully engaged in the coalition, and we are completely supportive of this regional effort, certainly for EWP funding. But most importantly, I'm here to extend and encourage our congressmen and our senators to continue to speak our voice and to know of our great appreciation for all of them. Thank you.
Thank you, Laura. This effort actually began in October when the Regional Coalition for Strategic Federal Action went to Washington, D.C. along with the Colorado Springs Regional Business Alliance. And there we met with Senator Udall, and well, we met with his staff, and then a few weeks later, because he was in the state, we met with Senator Udall. And Senator Udall has been a champion for us in going for the $19.8 million that we're seeking in the Emergency Watershed Protection Fund. And so first and foremost, we'd like to say thank you to Angela Jocelyn and to Senator Udall for the work they have already done in getting the money in the Senate bill that was later not included in the House bill, and also to say that the Senate will be voting on this again on Tuesday, and that's why we felt the urgency of having this media conference today, because it's a critical issue for this region for very many reasons, and you'll hear about those reasons from throughout the speakers. But at this point in time, I'd like to introduce Angela Jocelyn, the area director for Senator Mark Udall.
Thank you, Stephanie and Sally, and all of those in the regional coalition that we have worked with throughout this time. For those of you, I have press releases from the senator, and if you have further questions, you can contact Mike Ciccone in his office. I'd like to say entire communities here in northern Colorado are vulnerable to floods and other long-term effects of the 2012 fires. The long-term costs and damages from these fires will make the funding that Senator Udall has fought for seem like peanuts. Senator Udall does not question the need to help the hurricane victims in the Northeast, but wildfire relief is not pork. Colorado's water supports tens of millions of people in Colorado and throughout the West in downstream states. That is why Senator Udall has fought for the emergency watershed protection and will continue to fight for the emergency watershed protection. The House failed to pass the provision last year, and Senator Udall is committed to trying again by any means necessary. Thank you again.
Thank you, Angela. Senator Bennett has joined in that pursuit of the $19.8 million, and he was just in town. We had a very good meeting with him about the funding, and he has shared his total commitment to ensuring this funding. And so I'd like to thank Hal Bidlack for that, and also ask you to come say a few words.
My name is Hal Bidlack from Senator Michael Bennett's office. I also have copies of the statement for the press. From Senator Bennett. In Colorado, we all know that water is a precious resource. The House of Representatives delivered a blow to the state by excluding from the disaster bill emergency funding to restore our watersheds and protect our water supply, even though it was part of the Senate bill that had broad bipartisan support. It's frustrating for Colorado because it creates a set of conditions that are inevitably going to cost more money and much more pain. If we don't deal with these problems now, we will pay more for them down the road. It just doesn't make any sense. Although the delays in the House mean there might not be another opportunity to secure funding for this bill, securing EWP recovery resources will remain a top priority in our office.
Thank you, Hal, and thank you to Senator Bennett. I'd like to acknowledge Neil from Congressman Doug Lamborn's office and say thank you for the Congressman's support. And also to say that Congressman Cory Gardner and Scott Tipton, Jared Polis have all been working with us as well to secure this funding, and we appreciate the Congressman's support. So thank you very much. Now I'd like to introduce Carol Acarius. She's with the Coalition for the Upper South Platte, and we're so delighted she's here today because this is just representative of the regional coalition stretching to the northern part of Colorado, who have really come together in an unprecedented manner to address this issue.
Thank you. My name is Carol Acarius, and I work for the Coalition for the Upper South Platte. We're a group up the hill. We don't normally work down in this area, but over the last decade, we've dealt with the Hayman Fire, and before that, Buffalo Creek, Snaking, Schoonover. So we know a little bit about what these fires do in the aftermath. We do know that all of these fires in the West have extreme flooding following them. That's a constant. So Sandy came in and devastated, actually my hometown of Point Pleasant Beach was devastated by that hurricane. But once the hurricane's gone, there's not more devastation that's going to for sure happen. After one of these fires, flooding is for sure going to happen. And with this fire, as close as it is to Colorado Springs, Highway 24, other critical assets, we know that flooding can cause hundreds of millions of dollars of damage or more. So this is really getting EWP together for both the northern fire, the people up in Larimer County and Weld County have the same issue. Post-fire flooding is going to cost them hundreds of millions of dollars. So bringing these two groups of folks together to work regionally is something that's really important to all of us, because it is critical to Colorado's whole economy, not just any one person. EWP will allow us to do treatments, will allow us to fix problems before they come down this drainage, before they're flooding houses down here. That's really the goal of getting that EWP money, is to help protect downstream values at risk. Thank you.
Now I'm going to ask Gary Bostrom with Colorado Springs Utilities to come up and talk a little bit more specifically about the impact of the fire and what it does to the watershed.
Thanks, Stephanie. Good morning. I'm Gary Bostrom, Chief Water Services Officer for Colorado Springs Utilities. As a result of the fire this summer and subsequent flooding on July 30th, we've sustained significant damage to our water supply system. We're estimating over $10 million will be necessary to repair our system and to protect our system. So this funding that's being discussed will help not only now with these repairs I'm talking about, but also protecting our water supply in the future. We're very concerned with the flooding off the burn area and how it will affect our water supply and making sure that we can provide a reliable water supply to our community. We're also concerned about flooding in the region and how it will affect everyone along Fountain Creek, not only in El Paso County and in Colorado Springs, but also all the way down through Pueblo and Pueblo County. So this type of legislation will help ensure protection not only for our community, but downstream communities as well. Thanks very much.
I think Platt Floral just got a nice little advertising moment. Now it's my pleasure to ask the Mayor of Manitou, Mark Snyder, to come forward, and Lori Worthing of Green Mountain Falls, if you'd like to both come forward and say a few words.
Thank you, Stephanie. Manitou Springs, we're very proud of the fact that we have a stormwater fee that we've just recently increased, and we're using those funds as strategically as possible to prepare for the eventuality of a flood. But the truth is we can't go it alone, and we are very grateful to be a part of this regional effort to try and mitigate the potential flood damage. And we couldn't do it on our own, and we really, really appreciate the opportunity to work with our regional partners. Looking at the federal level, you know, sometimes the old adages are best. An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. In this case, maybe 10 pounds of cure. And it would really appall me to be sitting here a year, 3 years from now, dealing with potential loss of life and hundreds of millions of dollars of property loss when we have an opportunity to mitigate these potential catastrophic effects here and now. So thank you very much.
Hi, I'm Lori Worthy, Mayor of Green Mountain Falls, a very small community up Ute Pass, and funding is so extremely important, especially for our smaller communities and our people who live up the pass. So, thank you.
And for our last speaker, I'm going to ask Council Member Val Schneider to come forward.
Hi, I'm Val Snyder, and I live in Mountain Shadows. I was evacuated for 9 days, so I certainly saw firsthand the effects of the fire. What a lot of people don't know about a wildfire is that it actually bakes the soil, so therefore when it rains or snow melts, the moisture cannot seep in. So if we have even a moderate amount of rain or snow, we can have catastrophic flooding from the runoff on these hills that are burned. It's incredibly important for us to secure federal funding now so that we can invest to mitigate the effects of the fire. And in closing, I want to thank the Colorado delegation, which worked so hard at the federal level on their efforts to secure extra funding for the Emergency Watershed Protection Funding. Thanks.
And as we close out, I just want to say that it is absolutely critical that our citizens know what's going on next week in Congress, that the reason why the Hurricane Sandy funding is occurring is because their citizens spoke out and they insisted that this happen, and they were very clear in their needs. The people of this region need to be very clear about what their needs are here, and that's why it's critical that our delegation feel that support from the citizens, understand as part of the team what we're looking at, and that this be a united effort. This truly is unprecedented that we are working across the Front Range together on something like this, and it shouldn't be discounted. I do want to acknowledge Terry Storm, who is a member of the Regional Coalition for Strategic Federal Action. Thank you very much. And as a point of personal privilege, I would like to recognize my boss, Martin Wood, from the University of Colorado at Colorado Springs, for two reasons. First of all, he allows me time to do all this community work, and I appreciate that. And I hope you don't mind me saying that you were impacted by the fire. And so it's a personal mission to me as I watch Martin go through everything he has to go through because of that fire. It's a personal mission to me that we get this funding done, because people like him are the face to this. It's not just this grass in front of us and the ditch here and all that, the mountains behind us. It's the face, and that matters a lot. So we're very happy to take questions and do individual interviews as well. And as Sally mentioned, we have the governor's support as well. And so between our governor and our U.S. senators and our congressional delegation, they are very united, and they're trying to help us get this really important funding. Any questions for the group? Go ahead, sir.
Isn't it true that the pork barrel in Hurricane Sandy appropriation more than cover your needs for high power?
Who wants that?
If there are any questions for my boss, please contact Mike Ciccone.
No. So for any questions for the senators, it's best to contact their communications directors in Washington, D.C. for direct comment. Okay, does anybody want to answer that? It might be a self-evident answer. I think you've answered your own question. Okay. Okay, any other questions? Okay, thank you very much for being here today. We appreciate it.